Hello everyone and welcome to Cymatic TV. This is going to be a special update, and it's a very good exercise to sort of see how your energies connect with the universal vibrations that's coming through from the sun now. There has been a filament eruption that's come off of the sun on the 2nd of November. It will be with us on the 5th of November. And I seem to be, on my other channel, the Astroflower, I seem to be saying, remember the 5th of November. So it seems to be that this is the one, that November the 5th, that we can do a really good learning curve. So it's been a filament energy, as I said, that's sort of come off there. We're going to be looking at that and seeing how that affects the Earth and us. And also we're going to be looking at the corona hole that's coming with it, and a possible solar flare, a CME at the end of that. So you might get a triple hit. Because this is one thing accumulating on another. So without further ado, let's just jump straight on in there. Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality. So what you're seeing here is the solar event. The first thing you're going to see is a little eruption here. It runs down this filament there, creates a little eruption there that runs up here, creates another little eruption, and then we finally get that flare release. So, and this happened, as I said, on Tuesday, was it Tuesday or Wednesday, the 2nd of, Thursday, the 2nd of November. And here we have the ISWA sort of announcing this flare that's coming up. So this yellow dot that we see here, this is the Earth. This is Venus. Is it here? Venus here? Or is it over? No, it's over there. Venus is over there. Mercury is over there, and Mars is over there. So we're pretty much in the opposite direction with this, and pretty much in alignment with those two things there. So you can see it's coming off the sun here. Just slightly comes off the sun. As we can see on up here, you'll be able to see it's on actually comes off on the 2nd at 12:20, I think. And as it comes off in our direction, and there you can see it over on this side here. It's enveloping the magnetic field of the Earth. I think it's mainly going off to the north of the Earth, rather than the south, because it was directed, if you imagine it was on the, so you don't have to imagine, I'll show you. It's on the sun, as we can see here, and it is obviously in the northern section, which is this section here. So it'd be going slightly off and over the top of the Earth, but there will be some contact without shadow of a doubt. And so let's just look at this in a little bit more sort of detail, really, more than anything else. Let's just look at the first part of the eruption. So this is the eruption around here. This is where we get that first eruption. And what you want to be paying attention to is the energy as it rolls down this filament, which is the filament that eventually erupts, that we see the big flare coming off at. So as it erupts here, you can see here, there's the eruption, the first initial eruption in this section here. Now pay attention to these ribbons of plasma there, that it gets that shock going down it, as you can well see it, going down it. And that then comes into this section here. Let me just see on this section here and put it into play. This section here, so as it erupts here, you can see this eruption just above there. There it is there. That's that eruption there. And then it sort of starts running down those filaments, coming down those filaments here. And then we get the second eruption, which is down in this section here. Let me just push that up a little bit so it's easy to see. It comes down to there, so then that's when you get the second sort of miniature eruption there. And then that sort of forces back, and the flow that's coming down here, that's being pushed down here. And that's what makes the filament actually release. And we can see the release there, right in the middle of the two. So it's like a crunch point, and then you can see that nice flare there that comes through there. and it was a very quick, sharp and instance that was going on that sort of element. Before we go into the elements of what, so filament energy, we're going to be going into what filament energy is, and also how it affects you. Also what the flares are, which we see at the beginning, and how they affect us. But also, which is very interesting, is this coronal hole, which you can now see here, because this is a very slow moving energy, and this is going to be following that filament element eruption. And it's going to be erupting. It's going to be following it from I would say the 6th and the 7th. So we're going to get 2 shocks, one straight after the other. And as I've been saying on this channel for a long time, and I think a lot of other people have been saying as well, because the Earth's magnetic field is going through a pole shift, and pole shift, it doesn't just turn upside down like that. It actually condenses within itself, goes into the main core, and then comes out, as it were. It's a bit like, does it like a dance move in a way. That sort of thing. So we're going to be going into that. But I'd like to just have a quick look at where the element was, where it actually was affecting the Earth during this eruption. And it's quite interesting. So we're just building up to this eruption here. If I just play it at its normal speed, you'll see how quickly it goes. There's the first initial shock from that first little eruption, and then boom, the next one comes through there. There it was there. And then we get the following up as well of the other eruption afterwards. But let's just go back and let's just see where that point is. Look at it, it's just there. So it's just below the in the west of Africa, in the South Atlantic. Now the interesting thing about the South Atlantic is we get that what is called the South Atlantic anomaly, which is around this section here, which is like a weak spot. So the eruption was hitting this area here. It's like a weak spot in the Earth, and I think here is where it was recalibrating the Earth. It's choosing its weak spot, the solar vibration or the universal vibration, or the energy that's coming through, because this is primarily what we're talking about here. We're talking about chakras and auras in reality. So as it does this eruption, it hits that weak spot on the Earth, which goes straight into the Earth and almost sets the Earth up as a vibration to receive this energy coming through. It almost stabilizes things in a way as well. But we will see that a little bit more with the coronal hole and earthquakes and so forth coming forward as we go forward. So it hit into this section here, which is what I call the South Atlantic anomaly. That's what it's called. If I did do a sort of energy update on that, you might be able to find that on my channel. So it's actually penetrated the Earth very, very quickly, as it were. So this is that eruption that's coming through. It's mainly a filament energy, so it's mainly water energy. So let's just go into a little bit of how this affects us, basically. So obviously everything has water within it. We have a vast sum of water within us, and the thing is about water is it is very highly electrically has a connection, has a high sort of what do you call it, electrical current sort of connection. I can't think of the words at the moment, but basically you can really induce an electrical charge within water quite easily. And this is why you should be standing in water when you're standing under under a pylon and everything like that. So it's water energy. So these are emotional energies. Anybody who's been looking at the Astroflower, my sister channel, you'll be able to see on your petals, and I will be doing a live on the Astroflower, and we will be going into this and seeing which petal it affects you and how that affects your weekly reading, because I do these tarot cards over there. But yeah, you might want to go and have a look at that. So this filament energy, of this energy coming through at the moment, is really affecting us in a way that is an emotionally driven thing. But let's just go back to the sun. So how did this whole event start? It started with that eruption that was just south of it, which we can see here, just around this section here. Now that's all sort of fire and air. So that's mental and sort of sacrum and solar plexus energy there that's really feeding it more than anything else. And then after that, so that's where it comes from. So we're coming from a point where the energy that's coming through is stimulating our passion and our mental stimulation, and that would have been over the last few days. So that would have been over the 2nd, the 3rd and the 4th. You can probably see that in society at the moment. There's a lot of mental stuff going on in the world at the moment. And there's a lot of mental stuff going on in the world, and people are using ideas and stuff like that and trying to drive a lot of passion within the people. And we've seen this sort of like building up. So I would have thought from Sunday and Monday, this is where you're going to get the release of the emotions of the situations, and the energy that's coming in will be driving the emotions. Now that's going to be driving the heart chakra. So I would have thought we will be looking at earthquakes around Europe, could be Italy or Greece. So look out for earthquakes on Sunday and Monday on that section there. Also that has something to do with the coronal hole, and we will be going into that in a minute. But we've got the situation that is building up that is mental stimulation. So it's mental thoughts driven by passion as well, and which is a bit of a it's a bit of a tinderbox sort of scenario. Is a very, very highly charged energy. And then we get the emotional energy that comes in behind it, and that could really set the thing off. The interesting thing after that is that coronal hole, which we'll be looking at in a second. I just want to go through how it could affect you. So anybody who has respiratory problems or sort of heart problems and so forth, just make sure you're calm, you're easy, you get some really lovely air during that sort of period of the Sunday and the Monday, taking care of yourself. Maybe a case of actually doing a bit of sport to release a bit of the toxins within your body. Good sort of meditation as well, that could be based upon the heart. And also the throat and the third eye, and giving that sort of connection between your emotions and making sure that your emotions are logical and not just based upon your passions, because that can blind people. And I think that's what we're seeing in society at the moment. We're seeing people that are blindly driven by passions about a certain situation, which could emotionally overboil in the next sort of 2-3 days. That is the warning thing. The other situation, which is this coronal hole. So let's have a look at the coronal hole. Now, as we've seen here on this here, so this eruption, it comes through here, comes across that sort of, comes down that filament and then eventually re-erupts that. But as you can see, the first eruption is at the tip of this black hole that we can see here. Let me just see if I can get a bigger, is it here? Is it here? There it is. Here's a bigger example of it. So you can see the coronal hole here, and you can see that with this is looking down into a coronal hole. So I'll explain that quickly. Looking down into a coronal hole is like looking at the Earth, and the clouds break and you can see inside the Earth. The sun is not solid in that respect, and when you get these coronal holes, it's like you're looking deep inside the Earth and deep inside the sun. The funny thing is that it is black, and nothing really escapes it. It's like a mini black hole in a way. Not that black holes, I'm not 100% they actually exist, but you can see these little eruptions as we go through here that happen within the coronal hole, but they never get out of it. And basically that energy is going to be fed back into the sun and creating sunspots across other parts of the sun. So as we go through this coronal hole here, it's actually facing the Earth, and when it's facing the Earth, it's almost like the sun is, there's unblocked, uncensored energy coming from the sun, and it's like it's really blowing some very heavy, slow-moving energies, which I equate to earth energies. So we've started off with air and fire energy, this passion, this mental stimulated passion that we might have seen over the 2nd, the 3rd and the 4th of November. From the 5th and the 6th of November, that's when we get the emotional release. And then from the emotional release, we then get a follow-up from the 6th and the 7th, is when the wind is coming in from that coronal hole, which is like earth energy. So then we pass from the emotional side to the physical earth side. Now this is a real problem, because as I said, we've got a passionately driven, mental stimulated group of people and individuals, and now the emotions could boil over. When they boil over, then we get the earth energy coming through. So then they pass over to physical acts and actually acting upon their emotions as they go forward. It is a very step-by-step sort of process that's happening here that is very interesting to see within you. Now, this is the exercise that I would like to sort of put to everybody out there, because it is a learning curve for everybody, including myself. And I love learning about energy. I think I've got a good understanding after observing it for the last 30 years. But I'd like to know how it's gone for you. I'd like to know what's happening for you over the 2nd, 3rd and 4th. That's the first section. And then the 5th and the 6th, and that will be the emotional side. And then the 6th and the 7th, which will be the putting it into action. You can use this energy to help you. You can use this energy within your life to get things sorted. Now, over the 2nd, 3rd and 4th, I think it's been an overstimulation of mental and passion and not enough emotions. And then the emotions is going to be release it. So over this period of time, for me personally, I've had a lot of stimulation on ideas of things I want to do, not only for this channel, but also for my sister channel, the Astroflower, and also for my books that I write. I write fiction books as well as sort of practical books about energy and so forth, and doing things like that. So I've had a lot of ideas, and I'm very, very passionate about it. So it's been driving that. It has created a slight degree of frustration on my side, because allowing that emotion is almost, it's like the energy is holding back on that emotion to do with the heart and the third eye and the throat chakra. And I know that's coming through, and that is going to be released tomorrow. So that's why I'm doing the lives tomorrow as well, because then I can let my emotions flow out through the live, and we can go through that on the Astroflower, which you can see is being linked in our description of this video here. Yeah, and then it's going to be passing over into the concrete acts, as it were, on the 6th and the 7th. So I can then start putting down sort of pen to paper, as if I'm doing my books, or the extra videos that I do for my online workshops that I'm gradually building. And it could also be to do with the Astroflower School of Learning and so forth, and actually getting down and doing things and combining all those things together at the same time. Now, obviously, there's loads of different techniques that you can use to do or sort of help the flow of energy into your life. And you can do that through meditation, you can do that through sport, you can do that through learning, you can do that through gardening. And meditation I look at meditation like this, and it's a little bit different. Meditation is a state of being. This is my understanding of Buddha. So Buddha was sat at the tree for 39 days or 49 days or whatever days it was, just like Jesus was in the desert, and just like Muhammad was up in his temple. Many sort of people have actually past sort of teachers have induced or have encouraged meditation. The thing is with Buddha, at the end of his process, he realized that his spirit did not need anything. He only needed energy in order to stimulate his spirit. But he had realized at the same time, because he had been consuming water through the dew in the morning, as the water settled on him in the morning, he could drink through the corner of his mouth, as it were. And he realized that his body is like part of the material world and his spirit is part of another world. And then he realized that actually meditation is a state of being. And when you can get that state of being within you, you can do meditations in any form you so wish. That Buddha laying, meditating when he's sleeping, meditating when he's eating, meditating when he's sitting against a tree, meditating when he's fasting. It is a state of being. Once you know how to meditate, then therefore every day is a meditation. Life becomes a meditation. So once you start learning these practices where you can meditate with your eyes open, and I always say the best type of meditation is when I'm down at the market choosing my favourite cheese at the cheese market or whatever, because I'm engaging with all my senses. But I'm still in a meditative state, and I can drop that meditative state at any given point. Feel that energy going down into my sacrum and my chakra and my solar plexus. Gives it a little bit more weight, and that allows the rest of it to open up above me. So there is a meditative state that can help you to do this. Once you start realizing how this energy, or this universal energy, this key energy, this prana energy is coming through the sun, coming through the earth, and then coming through to you, then you'll start realizing how you can then start directing it as we're going through. I have one thing I haven't gone through, and that is the earthquakes. As I said, I think there's two hot spots for me personally. There's one in Italy, Greece, around that sort of area there. That's one area that you should be paying attention to. They're release points, and that's hitting the heart chakra. And the other point is over in Japan, going up to the Alaskan Ridge, where that's hitting more the third eye and the throat chakra more than anything else. So that's the sort of release sort of energy that's coming through the earth at the same time, and it will last for, I would have thought, another 3 or 4 days. So we're looking at going up to around about the 8th or the 9th, maybe possibly the 9th of November. So quite a few days yet. So we've got 4 or 5 days yet. It's not so electrically charged. So if you do, we've been experiencing storms and etc. here in the UK, and almost hurricane storms. And I was talking about that. That's got to do with pole shift and how the energy's been dropping out. That's what I was talking about in the energy update during the week. This energy dropout is happening all the time, and I think that's got to do with pole shift. And this is where you can latch onto these sort of vibrations that are gradually coming through. They're going to be changing all the time, which will give you a lot of diversity within your energy as you go into life, and give you a lot more diversity in life. What I would suggest is, personally, we are now waking up to a logical revolution and logical evolution that's going on. And this logical evolution is sort of saying, I'm not going to get involved in that, because that's just emotional blackmail, mental stimulation through the passions, that are manipulations of the masses, manipulation of everybody, and I wouldn't buy into that. What I would turn around and say, no, I don't believe in any of that. I don't want to have anything like that in my life. I am going to do this. I'm going to be doing something completely different. I'm going to be connecting with my neighbours, with the people that I meet in the street. I'm going to be organising my energies so I can direct it in a way which is a much more constructive way rather than destructive way. And we need to put pay to this. If we people did believe that they have a connection to God, or the big kahuna, whatever you want to call it, or the big spirit in the sky, then, which I'm totally up for, you would understand that you are not a judge to take a life from another person, regardless of all the other mental manipulation that's going on. It's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's this fault, it's that fault. At the end of the day, the way we're running the world has not been conducive for people living together. And because that's very hard to control under one leadership. Once you start allowing people to trust one another, that's when you lose the control element. And if you start pitting one against the other, that's when you can start controlling it. And that is what has been happening within the political world for eons. And maybe, just maybe, I don't know, it's my own personal opinion, but maybe there's just another way of doing this. So once you start getting in touch with the vibrations of how they're coming through, and you can do this by going dowsing on ley lines, you can do it through your meditation, you can do it through observing the sun and observing what's happening within our ecosystem. So there's going to be a lot more water coming through, a lot more sort of rainy sort of storms rather than windy sort of storms coming through, that sort of thing. You can use this energy in order to build a better world, and we can do that together. It will be absolutely brilliant. Yes, so there you go. Tell me how it's going on. Tell me what you are experiencing between this period of the 2nd right through to the 7th. You can leave it in the comments below. I will answer all the comments no matter what. Yes, but it'd be lovely to hear from you, because maybe, just maybe, we have a key to a much better world once we start understanding this vibration. Okay, so there you go. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. The best way to get this information out there is to share it across all platforms. Share this video far and wide. Try and bring other people in, because this platform that we're on at the moment is not really helping us to get very far. Maybe I understand why. And we've seen that with many other people, why they have been cancelled and what have you, but it's not really helping us that much. So maybe it's time for us to get together and start helping just get this information shared between us, because when we're all on the same page, it's going to make everything a lot easier. In the meantime, I will see you soon. Don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy. And don't forget, the other thing is, don't believe, just know.